Guys, welcome to another episode of The Pulse. By now, you know what we do every week, talking to people who are doing cool things with interesting careers, with great stories. And today's guest absolutely falls into that category. He is an actor. He's a comedian. Some of your favorite shows, Mike and Molly, Bob Hart's Abishola. I got to throw Bad Santa out there just because, I'm one of those who followed that. A comedian, and also a really cool story because he may look a little different to you after a health journey. Actor, comedian Billy Gardell. How are you, sir?
Hey, man, thanks for having me on this morning. Yeah, I'm the same guy, just less calories.
We might as well start there because it is same guy, less calories. But it was for people who knew you in some of those roles we were talking about. Has it been shocking, supportive? Like, how have people's response been since you had such a transformation?
I kind of got my anonymity back because people really don't recognize me until I speak because my voice is like a car horn. And then they go, oh, you were the guy from Mike and Molly or Bob Hart's Abishola. And that's okay, man. It's worth what it gave me in the health department. I had to make some serious changes health-wise. And so about 3 years ago, I went and got bariatric surgery. And now I just kind of live like all the people I used to make fun of, I'm eating cottage cheese and fruit nowadays. But, it was time. I outrun the numbers as long as I could. And then I just had to make a big change. And mostly it's incredibly supportive. I try to be very open about it because the internet's filled with crap. There was a group on Facebook that said I ate magic gummy bears to lose this weight.
Oh, Lord.
And inevitably somebody will come up and go, did that work? And I'm like, use your head, man. Gummy bears are what got me in trouble in the first place. So, I'm grateful that this change has happened. I'm not on any medicine. My type 2 diabetes is gone. Like it was really revelatory. But what happened was I came off Bob Hart's Abishola and realized that, the comedy club business kind of moved to the internet. So I finished my show and I took a break from stand-up for a few years to get healthy. And then everything went to the internet and I made myself unrecognizable. So I got them right where I want them, man.
So you get to go back out there and reestablish and what Jay-Z say, allow me to reintroduce myself.
Pretty much, that's it right there. And I'm trying to break into a newer audience as well, which is nice. It's been a joy. I thought I was done with stand-up, but then the bug got me again. And I had some buddies really pleasantly annoy me. My buddy Alonzo Bowden and Christopher Titus and Steve Byrne and Jay Leno and just some buddies of mine that were like, hey man, what are you doing? You got to get back up there. But I was so concerned with fixing my health that when I was done with that, I thought, well, maybe I'm just done with it. And then I went and saw my friend Ian Bagg, and he was just having one of those nights where he was just murdering. He's already a hilarious comedian, but this was one of those nights where he was just slicing them in half. And I was sitting in the audience with my wife while we were watching, and I was just like, oh no. I got to go back. And then I've kind of found this joy in being back up there again, and it's been really great to tour again.
We've had a lot of comedians on, and I love it when I hear that fraternity that exists. Because the other side of that is you have the discussions where there's a handful of people who are going back and forth at each other's throat in comedy that we have not seen.
Yeah, that's a bunch of low-hanging fruit high school crap. I don't get involved in that. The guys I'm from are from the old school, and we rooted each other on.
But I read a quote or saw in doing the research, something you were just pointing out, that you had never done comedy in this body. Has it changed anything? Like, has it changed your delivery?
Yeah, it didn't change my delivery. It changed the energy and it changed the rhythm a little bit. As big as I was, I had quite a presence. So I kind of went from the guy that was like, get out of the way now. Oh, I'm sorry, did I bump you?
Right.
So I had to adjust down. It was like going from a tenor sax to an alto. The warmth and support has been incredible. And then you always got 20% of people that just talk out of their behind, like I hear dumb stuff online like, I wish you would have stayed fat. I'm like, yeah, okay, that's what they're going to say at my funeral, They took his arms, his legs, his heart exploded, but thank God he kept the weight on.
It's like, could you please be unhealthy so that you can keep me entertained?
As you guys know, I've been on a health kick for the last couple of years. For some of you that don't, I used to look like this guy. And what I do to keep motivated, to keep doing the right thing, is I try to find things I could do in this body that I couldn't do in my old body.
I'm just gonna fly, got my head in these clouds, never coming back down, yeah, there's no way
was it 170 pounds or so that you lost. So you lost a
Yeah,
whole other person.
173, but who's counting, right?
There you go. Good for you. Backpedaling a little bit, how'd you get started? Because you don't have the traditional comedy journey, it doesn't seem like.
I was working at a warehouse in high school, and I did my first open mic night December 28th, 1987, and I think I was 17, and I snuck into the club and got up on the open mic list. It bit me that first night. I was just really good for 5 minutes, and then it just bit me, and then I sucked for like 2 years. But the way I got back into the clubs was these the three guys that owned these clubs. I came to them and I was honest and just said, look, I was underage, but I want to be here, so I'll do whatever it takes. And they were like, we knew you were underage. We were just waiting to see if you'd tell the truth. And so they were happy I did. And the way we got around it was they gave me a job. Okay. At 18, they gave me a job at the club, like just sweeping the club up, cleaning the bathrooms, wiping up the bar area, and then I was around it at least. And then I was hosting people and answering the phones during the day. And I always tell my son, and I tell any young person, there's a lot of conjecture about how to do something and all this. And yeah, it's great if you can get a higher education and all that. But the most important thing is whatever it is you want to do, get around it. Mm-hmm. If you get around it, you're going to kind of hear how to do it and how not to do it. And it's up to you to discern that. And so I just wanted to be around it. And then I did the road, and first I did Florida for a while, and then I moved to Manhattan and got just killed. Manhattan sent me home just licking my wounds. And I drove to every state back in those days, just doing gig to gig to gig. And then after 10 years of that, I moved to Hollywood and then did the road from there. And then also spent another, 12 years out there. And then after 25 years, Mike and Molly hit, and I was an overnight success after 25 years.
Yeah. Coming up, he's been on several successful shows, but he definitely wasn't an overnight success.
You can't take rejection personally. There's a no, on to the next play. It's like football. What's the next play? Okay, yeah, we threw a pick. Okay, on to the next play.
It seems like a pretty cool entry into all of this, that if I do it the right way, if I grind, if I hustle, then you may end up with this kind of career.
For me, it was perfect. And when I started, it was the late 80s. So, every week coming through the club, we had, the best of the best back from that time period, which to me was kind of the peak. There was an education sitting right in front of you on how to be really good at this. And then back in those days too, man, most headliners had been doing it for 10 years. These guys would just come in and wreck the room. Just wreck the room hilariously. And it was great to just be able to sit and watch that every week. I think if whatever you love, man, look, it's like that old Tom Waits song. There's going to be two dead ends and still you got to choose. But you got to get up, move, get up, move, get up, move. My kid wants to go into this business, and I keep telling him, man, there's a million no's before there's a yes. Mm-hmm. So settle in. You can't take rejection personally. There's a no, on to the next play. It's like football. What's the next play? Okay, yeah, we threw a pick. Okay, on to the next play. And that's what it has to be. So your love of what you're doing has to supersede the fact that there's, going to be rejection. But that's with anything. It doesn't matter what you do. You want to be a doctor, you got to go to 1,000,000 years of school. When you get through those pitfalls, they become experiences and things to write about and things to express. And I think that they actually play a valuable part. Plus, the more rejection you get, I think when you finally hit, the more gratitude you have, which is what happened with Mike and Molly, because that entire cast, me, Melissa, Reno Wilson, who's like my brother, me and Reno, the guy played Carl on my show, my partner, the cop, mm-hmm. We were on a show 10 years before Mike and Molly, and we got canceled after 6 episodes. It was just one of those, But me and him stayed friends, and he called 10 years later, and he was the one that called me about Mike and Molly. He's like, you got to get in on this Mike and Molly thing, man. It's us. You got to get an audition for it. And then I beat out all the Mikes, and he beat out all the Carls, and we ended up being on there together. And that he's like my brother, but we had 10 years of, I didn't get nothing. I'm up for a yogurt commercial. How you doing? You know what I mean? But so when it hit, we were all like, hey, man, we got good parking, we got free coffee, and we got insurance. Nobody blow this. Nobody blow this,
Mess up my benefits. Like,
Don't mess up my
go
benefits,
ahead.
brother. Don't mess up my benefits.
I got good dental. Nobody messed
That
this
was
up.
it. That was it.
So I was reading, and it's the internet, so who
Sure.
knows if it was true or not.
Sure.
But there was an article that was talking about you were right around when Mike and Molly hit. You were getting close to frustration, like not sure you wanted to continue down this journey.
That might have been the most politest way I've ever heard that written. No, I was at my rope's end, man. I was
Okay.
in a place where I've been married to my wife for 23 years. God bless her, man. She's just, I don't know, she's been beside me, in front of me, or in back of me, whatever I've needed for 23 years. And these days, I thought I understood it then, but boy, do I get it now, man. She's a powerful woman. And we were in a tough place. I hadn't booked anything. You know, marriage goes through ups and downs, and thank God we're on the sweet spot now because we've been together long enough.
Mm-hmm.
But back then, that was 15 years ago, we were struggling a little bit, had a new baby, not a lot of money coming in. And, so it was really a trying time. And I was at a point where it's like, I was going to go back to Pittsburgh and get on my favorite radio station, WDVE. And I said, I'm going to stay for one more pilot season. And I only got 3 auditions in that whole pilot season, and the last one was Mike and Molly. It was literally it was like a Hail Mary into the end zone. And then the world changed.
What's the quote? You never realize how close you are to success when you quit. And there's
That's
so
it.
many people who may have stopped in that moment and never gotten around that corner.
100%. 100%, man. You're always an inch from the gold vein.
Next on The Pulse, even his powerful life philosophy, it's laced with comedy.
My father used to say, when you make somebody laugh, you bless them. And then he looked at me and goes, that way you ain't got to go to church.
All right, so you're on tour. Right now you're on the West Coast.
Yeah, I'm in San Francisco. I did a little private gig up here. I still do very well with corporate gigs, but I've gone back down into the clubs in some areas because I'm working on this new hour, and I just hired a social media kid. That's how old I am. I just started social media about 3 weeks ago. But this kid's been doing a good
We'll follow
job.
you. We get your numbers up.
Well, I'm trying to break into a younger crowd. I'll tell you one of the sweet things that's happening is, I'm starting to get some younger kids because of social media, but when they realize what I do, some of them, not all of them, but some of them, they will actually bring their parents to the show. So they kind of come together. And then I hear stuff like, growing up, my mom and dad had your show on all the time. And, I don't take any offense to that. I find that very sweet that they can connect that. And it's something they can do with their parents. And I try to do a show that you could bring your parents to. I swear a little bit, but I talk about being a father and having a 23-year marriage and being an empty nester. And the other thing that I've been really digging into is I'm a Generation Xer, okay? So we were great at fending for ourselves. So I've been trying to reach out to the young people through my work on stage and just let them know that there's somebody on their side, that there's somebody that's rooting for them. I don't want to be the guy that's up there, my generation's so much better than your generation. I just think that's low-hanging fruit. I would much rather connect and go, hey, here's what we did. You know what I mean?
It said, again, internet, truth or not, it said that you were driven by this whole concept that I guess your father had, that you're just blessing people with making them laugh. If you can give them an hour of laughter, then it's worth it.
My father used to say, when you make somebody laugh, you bless them. That he truly believed that. I remember him telling me that when I was about 10. It was very profound. And then we took a couple more steps. And then he looked at me and goes, that way you ain't got to go to church.
Fair enough.
They'd say to him, you don't go to church a lot, Mr. Gardell. And he'd go, I'm more of a field agent. I'm one of God's field agents. At the beginning of my career, it was, I think, for my own attention. It was like, look at me, look at me, look at me. I need my attention. But I think after you get some success and after you bought the watch you wanted and the car you wanted, you start to realize, I think there's a little bit of a higher calling in service. And if I'm concentrating on making my audience laugh and being of service to them and trying to help them forget this world we're living in just for a few minutes, then I don't worry about how I look or how I'm going to sound. And I don't have to worry, but the outcome takes care of itself.
But I feel like when you have achieved that level of success, to kind of go back out on the road and do this, something bigger has to be driving you. And that's what it sounds like it is, because you don't have to do this anymore.
No, I don't. And that's where I'm at. And look, my audience, they were older when I was on CBS with Bob Hartz and Mike and Molly. And like I said, stand-up in the clubs has now become an internet game. So it's almost like starting a band over. Like, there's certain areas that I'm going to go, I'm always going to do well, like Pennsylvania, and usually it did very well in Illinois. My audience is either a little aged or the younger people don't know me, so I go and I do a comedy club. There's this joy of, like, it's almost like starting a new band in a weird way, but you have experience, so you kind of know where you're going. And I'm really enjoying it. You see a lot of young comics that are hungry and trying to do this, and I just try to be supportive. And it's nice when you run into a kind guy in this business, because you remember that.
We all appreciate you for being that person, because Lord knows there's some that are not.
No, it's chaotic right now, man, and everybody has a rush to be right, and we're all angry, and that's never going to fix nothing. Have you ever gotten in an argument with someone, they're yelling, you're yelling, and then somebody goes, "Oh, I see what you're saying."
Right.
That never happens. So I always feel like kindness and love and humility, if you can muster those things, they're the most powerful tools we have. That's just my belief. And I'm sure there's somebody who's going to watch this and go, I don't believe any of that. Yeah, okay. Well, you're going to be angry and talking to yourself the rest of your life. Good luck to you. Good luck.
They're in that 20% we were talking about earlier. They're actually probably not watching a show that's theme is use your voice for good. They probably turned it off as, the opening music was playing. What is this positive nonsense?
No, you know what? They're actually the first ones to watch, because they desperately want it, man. But they just don't know how to embrace it.
Coming up, listen, I've got to be honest. I love Billy Gardell's take on using our voice for good.
I think anytime you can bring anyone comfort or safety, that's why we're here.
October 19th at Live Casino here in Philly. You started touching on a little bit, but what are people going to see from Billy Gardell's stand-up show?
Like I said, man, I keep outside issues outside. I'm not going to drag you through politics or how I think you should think. We have enough of that. I just want to talk about how we can all get together and find common ground again. And look, I don't have everything in common with everybody, but I speak from the heart. I talk about my family. I talk about my experiences, and sometimes a shared experience can bring people closer. So that's kind of what I drive down into.
Last question of this show with everyone is that theme I was telling you about, use your voice for good. We ask everybody what that statement means to them.
I think anytime you can bring anyone comfort or safety, that's why we're here. And I think if you can use your voice in that way, and voice is metaphoric. It could be, whether you're in entertainment, you're a show host or a podcaster or an influencer or an actor or a comedian, all the way to, if you work at the library, you just never know what one little random act of kindness is going to do to somebody during the day. We never know what somebody's going through. And today, man, everybody's vibrating on a pretty high level. So I like to be the one dude that doesn't make you matter during the day. And I think when you use your voice in that way, I think life rewards you. I think you put that out, and it can, like, life's a boomerang. You put crap out, crap comes back. You put good out, good comes back.
I love it. Guys, thanks so much for watching The Pulse today with actor and comedian Billy Gardell. And we were just sitting here saying, I love it when you talk to somebody who makes you laugh, who you see on TV, and then you get the opportunity to meet them, and they're every bit as positive and cool as you would have hoped. He is that person. So I appreciate him coming on, and I appreciate you for watching. And I leave you today, as I always do, and like Billy did, reminding you that whenever you can, use your voice for good, and have a good one.